Hello and welcome to round 18 oddities of the 2025 AFL season. If you can tell by my voice, I am sick yet again. Whatever this thing that is going around is really kicking my butt. Anyway, I've still been able to do this episode, so thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel and you do like these videos, please subscribe. Okay, so in this first clip, I reckon this might be the worst shank I have ever seen. It may be one of the worst misses for goal besides Cameron Ling's one. And this didn't even register a score. I have absolutely no idea how he stuffs this up. Someone who's a key forward who gets paid mega bucks to kick goals, and he just completely shanks this. This one, I am speechless. I think we can all agree that the Richmond and Bombers game was probably one of the worst games of football ever to be seen. Kosicki, who just made it back into the side after Lynch was out from suspension, and then he just does stuff like this. He just passes over the top. You're a key forward, just go back and kick the goal. Luckily, it didn't cost his team the game. After Will Ashcroft is lining up for goal from about 50 metres out, he knows he doesn't have the distance, but he still has a ping anyway, and the ball falls short. It actually falls probably only a metre short of the goal line, and there's 5 Carlton defenders right there, especially Pitnet, who's your ruckman, and Wiedering, who's your key defender. They could have gone back and punched this ball through. Somehow, nobody's got a hand to this ball, and it goes through for a goal. How's this goal from Jason Horne-Francis after he gets the ball from a ruck contest? He picks it up with one hand and then kicks it off the boot with his one hand, and it somehow goes through the defender's legs, just completely nutmegs him. He goes through and he kicks a miraculous goal. This had to be goal of the week for me. This one happened fairly fast, and I'm assuming the umpire didn't see what happened, but you can see that Curtin has the ball. He gets tackled, and Max Michelani just rips the ball out of his hands and then handballs it out. And yeah, this is completely holding the ball. The umpires missed this one. I'm assuming he was blindsided. I think this was a bit of a talking point through the week, especially for the Western Bulldogs. Well, against them technically. The umpire bounces the ball and it just falls short of the centre circle. And I don't know, it was most of the times you see the umpire call this back. Riley O'Brien's the only one who's able to get to it. I don't know if English was able to or if it was too far out. Berry gets clearance and it ends up with a very quick Crows goal. I actually do agree with the commentators. I thought this one should have been brought back because it was to the advantage of Riley O'Brien, and Tim English wasn't able to get back properly to contest this ball. As Paddy Cripps lines up for goal, he tries to kick it from 50 metres out and he completely shanks the kick. Somehow the umpires picked out a movement on the mark free, which if you watch the replay, there's no way this should have been a free kick. 50 metre penalty is what it ended up as, and then 3 votes Cripps gets a very easy goal out the front of the goal square. I think this clip here pretty much sums up the whole night from the Bombers. It was an extremely poor show. I mean, we kind of expect this sort of behaviour out of Richmond. No offence to Richmond fans, they're a fairly young and inexperienced team. The Bombers should be, how many times are we going to say it? They're not making finals yet again. And just have a look at this. They can't handball cleanly, and Caddy tries to kick it off the ground and just has a fresh air swing, however you want to say it. And yeah, their skills were just well below average. I thought this play here by the GWS Giants was pretty awesome. It was a very good team play, and how's the pickup from Xavier O'Halloran in between the legs after kicking it into his teammate? I think Cozzy Pickett is just lucky that Aaron Norton exists, otherwise this probably would have got Shank of the Week. As the ball is about to be thrown in, you can actually see the field umpire tell the boundary umpire just wait because there's no rucks that have been nominated, and the boundary umpire obviously didn't hear and he's thrown it in anyway, and the umpire has to say no rucks because nobody nominated. I don't know how often this happens where the ball's thrown in where there's absolutely no rucks. Sometimes it happens when there's only one because the other team doesn't nominate, but very rare that both teams don't nominate for a ruck. How's the leg from Pitnet from 60 odd metres out? He's just completely torped this and it's gone through for a goal. How's that for a quarter time break? as Sicily kicks the ball inside the Hawks forward 50. The ball comes down from Watson and eventually hits Heath Chapman's foot, and it looks like it goes out of bounds on the full, and even he thinks it. You can just see his reaction as he throws his head back. He knows he's just kicked this out of bounds on the full. The umpires, I don't know if they didn't see his reaction or what, but they decided to throw this ball in. Sometimes as an umpire, you have to wait for the call to see where the teams run, because sometimes they do just dob themselves in. As the ball is kept in for Carlton, he tries to keep it in the corridor, tries to kick it in there, and the umpire gets in the way of Cowan. Cowan doesn't see him, he goes for the mark, but the umpire is in the way. It's very weird positioning for the umpire to be there. He probably thought it was going to be a throw-in, and eventually wasn't, but he didn't clear the area and ended up with this collision. I haven't seen what the results are, but I would hate to see Cowan get suspended for this, or even a fine. I think the umpire's in the wrong here. As the ball is inside the Hawks forward 50, it ends up on the ground, and McDonald just kicks it straight off the deck. It goes through about 3 Dockers defenders, and no one's able to touch it. Ends up going through for a goal.
If it didn't catch a foot on the way through, it is a brilliant finish.
At least the umpire's got this one right, as Lockie Neal kicks the ball. It's an absolute scrubber of a kick, but it hits Petra Cripp's foot and then eventually goes out of bounds on the full. And the umpire's seen this and paid it.
And that's on the full, off the boot of Cripps, and that'll be a free kick.
After Butterick from the Swans has been called for holding the ball, Collingwood kick the ball outside of their defensive 50, and you can see the umpire there call play on advantage, but this is clearly not an advantage, and luckily the umpire down the field said no, bring it back, because there was no clear advantage to this. But I don't think I've seen it before where an umpire has paid advantage and then it be brought back, but the Brisbane Lions would like to know about that one.
Once you paid it, I think it's on, isn't it? You can't say, oh no.
As the ball fumbles its way inside the Brisbane Lions forward 50, Eric Hipwood is tackled, and then he doesn't go to ground, which is great. He's able to use those strong hips and frame to get out of the tackle, but he has teammates there. He could have passed this off to Ashcroft, or he could have looked for a kick inside towards the goal. Instead, he was extremely selfish, trying to go for a goal, which would have been a very hard thing after just freeing yourself from the tackle, and of course he completely shanks it. This is just an extremely selfish play, and I hate to see it. I know the forwards are there to kick goals, but kick it when it's on. If it's not, just get rid of the bloody thing. Somehow Baker wasn't called for holding the ball here. He had plenty of time to dispose of the ball. I guess the tackle did slip off at the end there, and he's able to go through and kick probably a goal of the week contender, and just shanks it from pretty close out. He would kick this 9 out of 10 times, so fortunately for him and the West Coast Eagles, he wasn't able to convert. I have absolutely no idea why Wagner is contesting this. He's saying he's slapped it on, and you can see his hand goes under the ball and flicks it towards his teammate to continue the ball on. If this was rugby maybe, but that is a clear throw, mate. What are you talking about? As the ball goes in the Suns forward 50, you can see that King takes a contested somewhat mark. It's not paid, it's definitely not a mark, but eventually he has the ball and he looks like he's about to kick it, and he fakes a couple defenders from the Pies and he goes through and kicks a scrubber off the ground. I thought this was very good and quick thinking from the big fella. As the ball comes to ground, the ruckman Flynn is pushed as he kicks the ball from Alia, and he runs on, and as you can see, at the very point when the ball goes out of bounds, he's probably only a metre or 2 at the most away from the ball, and the umpire pays this insufficient intent. The ball takes a turn. You can see it actually bends around just because of the way the ball is, but he's being pushed as he's kicked this. I feel like this should not be paid as insufficient intent, and this rule is, the umpires have to do better than this, because when it's called like this, it's just extremely frustrating to watch. As the ball goes inside the Brisbane Lions forward 50, you can see right at the back of the pack, Motlop has the ball and he handballs it over for a point. He's just outside the 9 metre mark, and therefore he's paid a deliberate free kick against, and the Lions kick a goal. I thought Josh Dacos was extremely lucky to not be paid a free kick against for this, for holding the ball. You can see that he has time to dispose of the ball. He's tackled, spun around, has time to dispose of the ball, gets sort of knocked out in the tackle and then held against his body. Usually the umpire pays a free kick against, but not when you play for the lovely black and white stripes. Sometimes you just think the umpires need to make a call because they're going to review it before the ball gets bounced anyway. So if you call it a goal, it gets reviewed. Howe clearly touched this before it went over the line, but how's this pose from him? You can see he's just fully stretched out like Superman to deny this goal. That's my defensive play of the week. And this is the last clip here, but as you can see, the Bombers kick the ball back inside the forward 50, and I don't think he controls this for long enough. I think he has it in one hand, and then he brings his other hand over. For me, that kind of is a fumble, because he doesn't have full control of the ball. So it probably should have been out of bounds, and I'm not sure if the first contact with the ball was inside the bounds anyway. So anyway, this was paid a mark. In the long run, it didn't matter because the Tigers still won. So thank you for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. I'm trying to get to 20,000 subs by the end of the season. At this rate, it's not going to happen, but I still appreciate you guys watching anyway. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week. I almost forgot the code word. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave the word rain in the comments below. Don't tell anyone what it's about. Let's see if they can figure it out.